Fellow citizens of Ambazonia, dear Southern Cameroonians, we are left with two questions. And these two questions are supposed to determine how we strategize forward now. The question every Ambazonian should be asking his or herself today is, if you were still standing on the fence, if you were still doubting the reason why we have to go our own way, if you are still preaching a federation with La République du Cameroon, if you are still a member of their political party, the SDF or whatsoever, the CPDM, above all, if you are an enabler working for La République du Cameroon, the question each and every one of us should be asking ourselves today is, are these really brothers worthy enough for Ambazonians to live with them? Are these brothers worthy enough for us to be with them in a unity or in whatsoever a configuration or a federation? The time has come for every Ambazonian to come to the conclusion that these are not our brothers. The time has come for every Ambazonian to come to the conclusion that these are not our friends. The time has even come to the point that we have to conclude that these are not even good neighbors. Fellow citizens of Ambazonia, this is the time for every Ambazonian to sit up. Let's put our hands together. Let's put our heads together and fight the enemy to the finish line. We all saw the pain. We have all watched it everywhere. We watched this same incident that happened in Bamenda happen in Kumbo. We watch it happen in Ngokitunja. We watch it happen in Ndonga Amantu. We have watched it happen in Fako, in Meme, in Dian, Manyo, all over Southern Cameroons. This is the time for every Southern Cameroonian to sit up and join the liberation train, because I don't see any other excuse that can answer the question, that can give a perfect answer to the question if La République are a good neighbor. I don't see any reason that would justify any Southern Cameroonians to consider La République as a good neighbor, as friends, as a good friend, not to talk of brothers, that we can live together. A brother will never treat a brother with such inhuman, bloody actions as we saw yesterday, without sympathy. Fellow Southern Cameroonians, if this attack was on Ambazonian restoration forces, it could be justified. But the fact that the innocent civilians were targeted has no justification, and it's just telling every Ambazonian that these people are not out for your good, they are not out for my good, they are not out for the good of the people of Southern Cameroons. Their actions have demonstrated the level of hate that these people hate us. Their actions have demonstrated the level of colonization that we are suffering from. Their actions have demonstrated how much they hate us and what they want us to be. Nothing but third-class citizens. Their actions have demonstrated that we don't have a voice. And they see no reason why an Ambazonian should ask them a question, not to talk of expecting an answer. Their actions have demonstrated that we are a conquered people. Fellow Southern Cameroonians, the actions of La République du Cameroon in Ambazonia have demonstrated that we are a conquered people. A conquered people are slaves. To La République du Cameroon, Southern Cameroonians are a conquered people. The question is for you and me. In a situation like this, what do we do? Fellow Ambazonians, we are left with no option than to free ourselves from the slavery of La République du Cameroon. We have to cease from being a conquered people to a free people. And we cannot do this without fighting back and fighting hard. We can't do this where we keep giving them conflicting information, some pleading for federation, some pleading for a one Cameroon, which practically has never existed, is not existing, and never shall it exist, because it can only be preached with the mouth. Practically, we are a conquered people to La République du Cameroon. Dear Ambazonians, the time to blame one another is over. The time to point fingers at one another is over. This is the time for in-house reconciliation. This is a time for in-house stand-up. This is a time for in-house participation. What do I mean? Every Ambazonian has to come on deck. Every Ambazonian have to participate in one way or the other. Every Ambazonian has to contribute to this restoration struggle. If you are a pastor, if you are a businessman, financial contributions. If you are a farmer, contribute food to those who are fighting. If you are a fighter, we all have to double our effort. This is the time. La République has given us every reason why we have to fight. La République has given us every reason why we have to free ourselves. We cannot continue to live in bondage. We cannot continue to live as a conquered people, fellow Southern Cameroonians. We cannot continue to live in slavery. We must fight to the finish line. So this is a time for reconciliation. Look at one another in the face and say we have to fight to the finish line. This is a time for us to forgive one another. This is not the time for accusing fingers. Fellow Southern Cameroonians, fellow Amberlanders, let me quote John Minam. He sang, I quote, "When they push you to the bank of a river, you are left with no choice but to fight, else you will be thrown in the river." Our backs have been pushed to the wall. We are left with no choice but to fight back, dear Ambazonians. Some people will question, what is the way forward? Fellow Southern Cameroonians, fellow Ambazonians, for more than 5 years today, we have watched civilians killed. We have watched students killed by the forces of La République du Cameroon. We have watched homes, villages razed down by fire by La République du Cameroon forces. We can all testify that the burden is on us. It is now the time for us to choose to fight or not to fight. There is no justification why for more than 400 villages that have been razed down, no house of a La République citizen has been razed down by fire. That is to tell every Ambazonian that their actions is a direct target to the people of Southern Cameroons. Because you cannot be talking of more than 400 villages that have been burned down, and no La République citizen living in Southern Cameroon is crying of his or her house that have been burned down. We are talking of close to 30,000 Ambazonians that have been slaughtered by the occupational forces of La République du Cameroon. And we cannot point a single La République citizen who has been killed in Southern Cameroon, either by an Ambazonian force or even by La République forces. That is to tell every Ambazonian that this is a direct target directed directly to the people of Ambazonia. The question now is, what is the way forward? I proposed this some time ago on this TV, and I am still going to propose it today. An eye for an eye is the way forward. An eye for an eye is the way forward. We saw a cosmetic store worth close to $15,030,000 being destroyed by the forces of La République du Cameroon. If we retaliate, double that action on their own businesses, on their own citizens, that will speak volume. We saw houses being razed down. If we retaliate, this should not be an assignment to Amazonian fighters only. This is to Southern Cameroonians. Their own people cannot be living comfortably in our own land, doing their business, doing their activities, and going hands free, and our own people are being targeted and their businesses destroyed every day. This is not a right strategy. Ground zero, sit up. This is the time. An eye for an eye. You hit me one, I hit you two. This is the time. In that same quarter, where more than 30 houses were burned down, there are houses of French citizens in that quarter, and none was touched. That is to tell you that it was a selective and targeted action to inflict pain on the people of Southern Cameroon. And the reason why La République forces and administrators have taken this route is because Southern Cameroonians, hear me, they believe that at the end of this war, if they finally conquer us, we will never again raise our voice. That is their mission. Means that La République is fighting for full-time occupation. They are fighting to fully conquer us, and they are fighting to fully enslave us. If we don't hit them back, we are done. Fellow Southern Cameroonians, fellow Ambazonians, we are like orphans. We have been abandoned by the international community. Our destiny is in our hands. Our businesses have been destroyed. Our civilians are being killed. Which life is worthy for us to protect anymore? Our towns and cities have been destroyed. Our resources have been looted. Our natural resources have been mortgaged. Which life is worthy for an Ambazonian to protect? This is a time for every Ambazonian to come on board. To the enablers, those who call themselves ministers, those who call themselves parliamentarians and senators from Ambazonia, it's a pity. It's a shame. When your so-called Prime Minister John Ngute came to Bamenda, He came to tell us about peace. But that same individual cannot open his mouth in Yaoundé to tell the occupier about the peace he was telling to Ambazonians. Who is the cause of the situation we are facing today? Those so-called senators cannot challenge the occupier in Yaoundé. The so-called ministers cannot challenge the occupiers in Yaoundé. The so-called parliamentarians from southern Cameroons cannot challenge, even when our students are killed at their doorsteps. They still remain muted. But when it comes to talking about southern Cameroonians, their voice goes loud. The time for hypocrisy has come to a stop. The time for enabling has come to the end. This is the time every southern Cameroonian must sit up, pick up your sword, and be a David. All of us must be on deck. This is the time. We have every reasonable justification to defend and protect ourselves and our property and our children and the future of our children. I watch a TV on the prime time. This TV is based in La République. One of their panelists, Apostle Ambe, let me quote, he reiterated on so many occasions how Africans destroyed their own brothers. The situation we are facing today, history will write about you tomorrow. History will write about Mesonge tomorrow. History will write about John Frundi tomorrow. History will write about John Gute. History will write about all the so-called parliamentarians who are sitting and watching their brothers go through this pain, and they claim that Cameroon is one and indivisible. Cameroon is one and indivisible when they can only talk to the people of southern Cameroon, but they don't have the guts to open their shithole mouth to talk to the occupier. They are not bold enough. They are not courageous enough to tell the occupier what is happening in their land. This is the time we have to face every enabler squarely. When Thomas Sankara was betrayed, we cried. Africans cried. When Muammar Gaddafi was betrayed, Africans cried. The Libyans are crying today. We are not prepared to cry tomorrow because of our own brothers who are dining and whining with our occupier. Today we are telling them that we are taking note of your actions of betrayal. Fellow Southern Cameroonians, fellow Ambazonians, we cannot continue to watch our businesses crumble. our resources mortgage. And some people continue to make us believe that we are in a united Cameroon, or in talk preaching of any form of a federation with devils, with satanic regimes, with satanic administrators, people without human feelings. These are not people worthy enough to be called brothers. Dear Ambazonians, fellow citizens of Southern Cameroon, please, those who are in the diaspora, this is the time for us to double our effort. This is the time for us to redouble our contributions. This is the time for us to gather together. This is a time for us to come together and re-strategize. This is a time for us to seek the intervention of the Almighty. For those who are preaching the gospel, this is the time for you to redouble your fasting and prayers. Fellow Southern Cameroonians, I know some people are going to give excuses. That brings me to the question of who is for this struggle and who is not for this struggle. Fellow Ambazonians, in early 2017, I told Ambazonians, because I knew this time was coming, I told Ambazonians that when you are fighting your enemy, you must know the strength of your enemy and you must know the weakness of your enemy. The strength of La République du Cameroun is not to fight the Ambazonian Restoration Forces. They lack that capacity. They lack the military training. They lack the military skills. They lack the intelligence, and they lack the skills. And they lack the financial power to resist this war. The major tool, the major joker that La République is holding is to tear us apart. So, fellow Southern Cameroonians, this is not the moment we are going to sit and sympathize with hypocrites. This is not the moment we are going to sit and sympathize with hypocrites, pretenders who are pretending to be fighting for the people of Southern Cameroon, but at the background are negotiating and milking from this struggle. The Bible says, "It is not he that called me Lord, Lord, that will enter the kingdom of heaven." It is not everybody who is saying Ambazonia, Ambazonia, Ambazonia is for the restoration of the people of an independent of Southern Cameroons. This is one class of people that we have in this struggle. They are sponsored agents of La République du Cameroun in this struggle. There are people who are in this struggle for personal interests, either financially or whatsoever. That's another class. There are people in this struggle who are for public shows. And the real Ambazonians who are for this struggle, the real Ambazonians who are for the restoration of the state of Southern Cameroon will preach nothing but our fight to Boya. This is what you will see from real Southern Cameroonians who are fighting for the restoration of the statehood of Southern Cameroon. I am saying this to cancel the excuses of some of those people who are still sitting on the fence despite the carnage that is being inflicted on our people by the occupational forces of La Republique. Some people still use the actions of some people to justify why they are not contributing to this struggle. I am here to tell you that your justification is wrong because it is not everybody that sing our anthem, carry our flag, go on public shows is an Ambazonian and is for Ambazonian. Every Ambazonian who is for the restoration of Southern Cameroon will not give an inch, an open door for La République to Cameroon to continue carnage on our people. Anybody, any Ambazonian who is for this restoration quest will not give La République a single reason why they have to continue resisting our people. What am I saying? I am saying that don't use the action of Mr. A or Mr. B to justify why you are not participating or you are not contributing. Some are sponsored agents. Some are for their personal interest. Some are for public shows. Some are for the restoration of Southern Cameroon. That is why Ambazonian, listen. Ambazonians, Southern Cameroonians hate division. I will be coming to justify what I'm saying here. Let me start back in the days of the SDF to tell every Southern Cameroonian Ambazonian who think that you are going to work for La République du Cameroun by helping La République du Cameroun create another room for an extension by believing that one day we shall be broken into pieces. Ambazonians are not going to be broken into pieces. Real Ambazonians who are for this struggle will never be separated. They will always be in the mainstream. Ambazonians, listen to me. Real Ambazonians who are for the restoration of Southern Cameroon will always belong to the mainstream, regardless what. We all real Ambazonians who are for the restoration of Southern Cameroon understand that we will always disagree because people disagree to agree. We will always disagree. Real Ambazonians don't support the formation of factions. And let me tell every Ambazonian who is thinking in one way or the other that he or she can split the struggle, you have failed on arrival. Let me quote you. Let me give you reasons why I have said you have failed on arrival. Before I come to that, the exit route from this revolution is to create a faction. The exit route If you want to exit, just attempt, you will see yourself out of the borders. You will see yourself out of the struggle by yourself. Let me start from the back. Ambazonians don't support the formation of factions. Ambazonians understand that there can always be disagreement. We all understand that. And that people disagree to agree. We all understand that. Ambazonians understand that real Ambazonians who are fighting for the restoration of the independence of Southern Cameroon understand that we have to talk internal issues internally with closed doors. Real Ambazonians who are fighting for the restoration of the statehood of Southern Cameroon understand that we will fight, we will box each other, we will quarrel with each other, but at the end of the day, we will come out with a fix. There is no Ambazonian fighting for the restoration of Southern Cameroon that is helping La République in one way or the other. Let me give Ambazonians the reason why I said Southern Cameroonians hate division. In the 90s, I was still very small, but my eyes were seeing and my ears could hear. In the days of the Social Democratic Front of Neil John Frundi, we had people like Ben Muna. There was their Secretary General was Professor Asonganyi. We had people like Professor Ngwasiri. And we have people like Kawala. They all team up. We don't understand whether it was by the influence of La République or what, and thought they were going to destroy the SDF by moving out of the SDF to start forming their own political parties. Ben Muna went and formed a party. Kawala went and formed a party. Ngwasiri went and formed a party. Their Secretary General Asonganyi left. It was all news over the press. Everybody thought the SDF was over. Fellow Ambazonians, the real members of the SDF were intact. Ask yourself, what has any of them achieved? Ask yourself, can Kawala call a rally of 500 people? Ask yourself, what did Ngwasiri achieve after leaving the SDF? Any struggle that involves the people of Southern Cameroon, your exit route is to form a faction. Immediately you form it, that is your exit route, and they are done with you. Ambazonians are done with you. It's just a matter of days, not weeks, days. Your name will never be anywhere anymore. I will be coming gradually. That was the SDF. When John Akonte, who was the strongest provincial chairman of the SDF, came up, went to the parliament, connived with La République du Cameroun against the SDF, he thought he was going to use his popularity in Bamenda. But that same population that he was counting on, within 24 hours, turned their backs on him. Dear Ambazonians, Ambazonians are intelligent. Ambazonians are very sensitive people. These are people you cannot manipulate. These are people you cannot manipulate with your selfish intentions and with your greed. They are very sensitive to dictate the direction of an enabler. And Ambazonians know that the damage that is created, the damage that can be created, the damage that will be created by the formation of a side group is 1,000,000 times dangerous, damaging, destructive than the damage or a confusion that can be caused within by an individual. Ambazonians understand that the damage that can be caused by forming a side group is more destructive, is more damaging than any confusion an individual can create within the group. Let me go now. I left the SDF. I asked Ambazonians, all those who left the SDF thinking that leaving the SDF was going to destroy the SDF, how many of them achieved what? Zero. Let me go to the SCNC. During our days of the SCNC, Mr. Nwachan sent us out of the office at Commercial Avenue and created a faction, SCNC Nwachan. Others were running factions everywhere. But the mainstream was the SCNC that was being led by Dr. Luma Martin. And then later by Chief Ayamba and Fongalamfo. Ask yourself, those who were holding meetings at the corners, calling themselves faction, what did they achieve? Nothing. How long did they last? Days. Let me come to 2016. Before I come to 2016, let me call the attention of those who think that it is because of the support that I have met. That is a pity. It's a pity for anyone counting on Ambazonian support of yesterday to justify your action today. Ambazonian, listen, you will be the most stupid person to count on Ambazonian support of yesterday to justify your action today. Let me repeat it again. If you are counting on the support of Ambazonians yesterday to justify your actions today, then you have failed. These are people I know very well. Agbombala and Nebofontaine counted on the support of Ambazonians when they were in jail and thought they were going to fuck up and still have that support. They lose the support. They lose the support. Mancho BBC thought of the support he had and thought he could make any dirty statement. He has lost the support. Honorable Weber counted on the support after his speech in La République Parliament and thought he could make any other statement and go free. He has lost the support. John Frundi counted on the support of the people of Southern Cameroon that he had before and thought today is the same. He has lost the support. Seseko Ayuk Tabe counted on the support he saw on the 22nd of September and on the 1st of October and thought he could form a parallel government. He lost the support. Fellow Ambazonians, don't take the support of yesterday. Don't take the support of Ambazonians yesterday to justify your actions today. Please, you have failed. Last about a month and a half, a group of guys were holding a meeting in Momo and said the former executive was not properly elected and they were going in the proper way. I told them one thing. In as much as we disagree, I, Larry Ndansi, will never support the formation of a faction because the damages caused by the formation of faction is 1,000,000 times the damage caused by our disagreement. And I gave them 14 days. I said, after 14 days, nobody will talk about that shit that you're forming. Most of them have blocked my number because they know they cannot answer my questions. I think within 5 days, nobody is talking about it anymore. They are lost. They have existed themselves from the struggle by themselves by trying to form a side group. Why am I saying here? I am giving reasons to every Ambazonian who is sitting on the fence thinking that we are disunited. Real Ambazonians who are for the struggle, who are for the restoration of the statehood of Southern Cameroon, fellow Southern Cameroonians, they are together. Real Ambazonians who are for the restoration of the statehood of Southern Cameroon, Ambazonians, understand that we can always disagree, but we will agree, that we can always have a fix. Fellow Southern Cameroonians, I want to reiterate this. We all have to come on board. We all have to stop using the actions of some people with greedy, selfish, personal intentions to justify why we have to continue to sit on the fence and watch La Republique slaughter our people every day, burn our towns and cities every day, destroy our businesses every day. This is the time for us to stop. We all have to come on board. We all have to stop giving excuses. Fellow Southern Cameroonians, fellow Amberlanders, this is the time. If you think that because of the support of yesterday, you could act any way according to your likeness, and you will still gain the support of Ambazonians today, you have failed. You have failed. Larry Ndansi will never, ever support the formation of any side group because I understand that the damages caused by the formation of faction is a million times destructive, damaging compared to our disagreement. We can always reconcile. We can always agree, but it will always be difficult to fix the damages caused by the formation of factions. Fellow televiewers of ABC TV, fellow Ambazonians, when I say this, some people might say, oh, it is because when I read comments, some people will start writing, oh, you are Mr. This surrogate, you are Mr. This surrogate. Let me quote you here. When Comrade Bo Herbert organized the conference in Washington, D.C. in 2016, that led to the formation of Morris, Larry Ndansi stood up and objected the formation of Morris. I said in that hall, I quote, the formation of Morris in the name of an umbrella organization was an indirect way to form another faction. That we already have multiple factions and there was no reason for any Ambazonian to support. I will continue to support the formation of factions because factions have caused a lot of disaster in this struggle. That was 2016 in Washington, D.C. I am saying this for those who are going to quote me as surrogates. I am not. I have always disliked, I've always hated the idea of the formation of a faction. I told those who formed Morris that you were just forming another faction, not an umbrella organization. And today, Morris is being called a frontline group, not an umbrella organization per the formation. I disagreed. I am saying this to challenge those who might quote me wrong somewhere. That I'm saying what I'm saying because I'm a surrogate of Mr. A or Mr. B. I have always stood against the formation of factions, and I will always be against the formation of factions. In 2006, I stood against Mr. Nwanchan. We all came from Mogamu. I stood against him. I said I will never support, and I have never supported the formation of any faction. And I will never support the formation of a faction because I know it is disastrous to our struggle. I know it is working for the advantage of La République du Cameroon. Fellow Southern Cameroonians, fellow Ambazonians, what will La République think if Larry Ndansi today say, I am not longer in the mainstream, I am on my own? For the formation of factions gives La République more hope. At the time when they were already getting discouraged, tired, weak, financially, militarily, and everything, we are still giving them hopes. We are still telling La République that, oh, if you can hold on again, they will finally break up. That is what we are telling La République by forming factions. So this formation of factions is evil to the struggle. At this time, when there is carnage in our land, anybody, I don't care who you are, anybody sitting out there trying to discourage our people, and give La Republic more hopes to continue to fight in our land, you are disastrous. I don't care about your yesterday. I don't care about your last year. I am looking at your today. I am looking at your today. I'm not looking about your yesterday. Because your yesterday cannot justify your actions today. The phone call and the emails you had yesterday are not the phone calls and the emails you are having today. I am not going to condole with any Southern Cameroonian who is supporting anything in the form of breaking the mainstream, because that action gives La République du Cameroon more hopes that if they can hold on again, we might break out. That is the information we are telling La République. Therefore, who is your action helping? Is your action helping the struggle, or is your action is helping La République? What justification can any individual give? We saw it happen to the SDF. We saw it happen to the SCNC. And in the 21st century, we are not intelligent enough to know that we cannot be fighting forward and helping the enemy by the side. Fellow Amazonians, this is the time. We all have to come on board. This is the time. We must look at one another in the eye and tell each other, please, this action is diabolic, is evil, is destructive, is catastrophic. We have to stop sympathizing with those who are helping La République. We have to stop sympathizing with those who are giving La République hope. We have to stop sympathizing with those who are telling La République that, hold on, they will all fall apart. We are not going to fall apart. Those who came into this struggle for public shows will fall apart. Those who came into this struggle for personal interest will fall apart. Those who came into this struggle as enablers representing La République du Cameroon will fall apart. Those who came into this struggle for power will fall apart. But Ambazonians who are ready to go to Boya will not fall apart. President Sako said, I quote, "I will build your monument when you are no longer alive, because I don't know your last action." Judas was a disciple from the beginning, but the journey did not end him as a disciple. He ended as Judas Iscariot, the betrayer. So, what am I quoting here, Ambazonians? My yesterday should not justify my today. I am not going to use your yesterday to justify your today. No. I am using your today to justify your actions. We cannot continue in this route. We cannot continue in the route of sympathizing with enablers every day in the name of trying to tell the truth, in the name of righteousness. This is a revolution. This is a struggle. An individual cannot destroy the effort of 8 million Amazonians. Because of either Mr. A or Mr. B. No. Where we are today is the contribution of more than 8 million Amazonians. Where we are today is a sacrifice of more than 30,000 lives. It is not the action of an individual. It is not the ill of an individual or the good work of an individual. It is our collective effort. Therefore, the action of an individual cannot be just used to justify why we have to destroy the effort of 8 million Amazonians. As I said, I don't care who you are, your yesterday is not going to justify your today. And if you, as an Amazonian, counting on the support of yesterday to justify your actions today, thinking that Amazonians are cowards, you have failed. You have failed. If you are counting on your support of yesterday, I want to repeat this again for those who are on the exit route, that if you are counting on the support of yesterday to justify your actions today, thinking that Amazonians are cowards, that belief failed Agbombala, that belief failed Seseko Ayuktabe, that belief failed Honorable Weber, that belief failed John Frundi, that belief failed Bermuna, that belief failed Kawala, that belief failed Gwasiri, that belief failed Asomani, that belief has failed Akonte, that belief failed the guy who went to Banjul to withdraw the case. That belief of thinking that the support of yesterday will back you today has failed so many of you, and will continue to fail those who want to use the formation of factions as their exit route. Fellow Southern Cameroonians, fellow Amazonians, yesterday was a very painful day in our land. Yesterday was so painful in our land. If you have anybody who was touched yesterday, if you have a friend who was touched yesterday, if you have a family member who was touched yesterday, they need our support. They need our prayers. They need our financial support. If it is to give a pair of shoes, if it is just $20, this is the time we have to show solidarity to one another. There are some of them who don't even have pot to cook now under the tree because the whole house was burnt with everything. Dear Amazonians, particularly those of us in the diaspora, let's extend a hand of solidarity to our people. They are in pain. They are in tears. Let's prove to them that we love them. Let's prove to them that we have them at heart. fellow Southern Cameroonians, to those who have not yet contributed their 2021 draft, the year is coming to an end. Dear Ambazonians, let's play our draft for 2021. This struggle needs us three things: firepower on the ground, diplomacy, and our financial contributions. And our financial contributions govern the first two. It is our financial contribution that will increase the firepower on ground zero. It is our financial contribution that will determine our level that we can lobby the international community. This is a time for every Ambazonian to pay his or her draft. Let's not be discouraged by what we hear on social media. Remember, those who want to give excuses will always find excuses to give. But the silent majority don't talk on social media. It is the damaging minority that is singing choir on social media every day because they want praises. I mean, it is the dangerous and damaging and destructive minority that you will find on social media. The productive, constructive majority are silently working at the background for you and me. The results will be read one day. We are still in the midst of the struggle. We call upon all LGA chairs, cabinets, executives. We call on all county executives. We count on all the members of the internal government, members of the Federal Restoration Councils. We all have to redouble our efforts. This is the time we have to work more harder. We are calling on our restoration forces on the ground, fellow Southern Cameroonians, fellow ARF. This is the time for you to show our people solidarity. This is the time you have to show them love. This is the time you have to protect them. This is the time you have to protect the property of our people. Let the enemy be your only target. Let the enemy and the occupier, administrators, and their own civilians be touched too. We all understand the tedious, how tedious. We all understand what you are going through. But we should also remember that we are not controlling any resources in Southern Cameroon to fund this struggle. We are all doing it from our daily paychecks. We want to say congratulations to all the restoration fighters. all the generals, the field marshals, the colonels, the captains, and the foot soldiers. Dear Ambazonians, fellow Southern Cameroonians, Saturday, I think there is a draft for humanitarian. This is Christmas. We have more than 60,000 refugees in Nigeria. They are all depending on us. Let's come together and prepare something for them for Christmas. They are also there with their junior ones, our brothers and sisters, our mothers. At least, let's give them something to eat during this time of Christmas. Yes, we can. We have always done it. We have always done it, and we can always done it. God will continue to be our provider. I will be back next week. Thank you for watching. Next week will be another day. I was about to open the lines for phone calls. If I may give 15 minutes for phone calls for anybody who wants to call. The phone lines are now open. The number is 240-487-8936. Let me give some few minutes for the phone call. If not, Thursday will be another day. Thank you so much and goodbye.
Fimasha, the king of Ambazonian, he be a president for Ambazonian, for Ground Zero. Where I be tell when I say I deny, say I not be president, and I never ever hungry for be a president. I be tell when I say I be a fighter, a soldier for Ground Zero. And we all with the Ambazonians, we know say, na Dr. President Sako, he be the president. We all the Ambazonian, they believe for ye. I quote, I say, make all the Ambazonian, may they hear me, Fimasha the king, the chain of command for armed forces for Ground Zero. I say, na Dr. President Samuel Sako, he be the president for Ambazonian. Ground Zero, their work, now for support war, and their work, now for fight for independence, for Southern Cameroon, Ambazonian. Ground Zero, enough be take over from the diplomatic people where they handle diplomatic work for upside, for same things them. Right. Because we, the generals of the ARF, we not fit the fight for war, and then we the fight paperwork at the same time. Now, Dr. President Sako will recognize it, and all the Ambazonians recognize it like a president for Ambazonian. I be don't give one of my word, and I think I be told for President Sako somewhere. So I know one somebody they change every day, change every day, change every day. the leaders and for Ambazonian. Because that one, it go draw we bring we for back. Except any person. It don't mean for take somebody he hurt. Before he use his wisdom. For put that person aside. For to make Ambazonian, it go before. Nami FMA. Fimasha the king of Ambazonian. The chain of command in Ground Zero. I they send this message. So make all the Ambazonians may wanna put one head all together and then wanna focus for the struggle. I think that the last game this what were they for Rich Boya. Now December 9 this with me FMA I they send this message. Say Dr. President Sako now be the president of Ambazonian. Not FEMA because FEMA